Hey, how's it going? This is Professor Krspo, and this is Music Production 101. What's up, guys? Welcome to week 6. You've made it this far. This week we're talking about creating a drop. So using those sounds that we created last week and more sounds, we're going to do some drops, and I'm going to show you guys different techniques like call and response, maybe some layering. We might talk about different genre techniques depending on what you guys are going for. But for now, let's just go right into this and let's get started. Alright guys, so we are in the project file my homie Bunting hooked us up with. So I'm going to show you guys how he uses call and response, and then we're going to make one ourselves. But first, let's look at how he uses it. And this is going to be you guys' assignment, so watch closely. Alright, let's do it. All right, so that probably sounds like super crazy, but it's not. It's actually pretty simple, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how he does it, and it's pretty easy. So first thing I want you guys to look at are these markers up here. So obviously the start marker is going to be, the start of the song, but the first thing I want you guys to watch, this is the call, okay? So the whole thing about this week is call and response. So the first part I want you guys to see is the call. So this is just one synth, right? So here's the call. So very simple call. And then so the response to that call comes up here, right down here. So it's just another synth, and it's just going to be the thing that responds to that call. Okay, so pretty straightforward. Synth number 1 is the call. Synth number two is the response. So let's move these out of the way a little bit. Okay. And notice how, so the response for 2, it's a short little. And then we do a little bit of fill back to the 1, which is, again, going to be your call. The downbeat. So I hope I'm explaining that good enough for you guys, but there's a little start, which he does a great job in this start. He introduces this synth right away in the start, and guys, check this out. Look at what he uses. The auto filter. Remember I was talking about how, you can do all kinds of stuff with these filters, and that's really, it's these simple tools that you can do so much with. So look at let's watch how he uses the filter here in this start as he's introducing kind of the main synth that's going to now be the call. So he's using the filter. See that? So very simple, nothing too crazy, nothing like that I haven't shown you guys already. But now you're seeing it in action in an actual like producer's project. And, you know, it's not just me. I'm not the only one doing this stuff. You know, this is very common. And I'm showing you guys these are the basic fundamental tools that you can do a lot with. Basic automation. So then this is now the second call. After we do the little fill back with the synth, now we're on to the second call. Okay. And now for the second response, notice that he's doing something cool. He's bringing in now a different version of this first synth. Slightly different, not too different. I mean, you can hear the difference here. I'll play that versus... So that versus... A little different, but not too crazy. You know, a slightly different variation. And now he's starting to bring it in and introduce it here during the second response. So that's pretty cool. You know, so these are the things, guys, to take notice with. Like, just, but it's very basic at the same time, right? It's just call, response, call, response, and then you're gonna repeat the response too, because this is a, you know, that's just the style of this drop. Is now you're gonna go and repeat it, because that's what you do in bass music. You repeat. You know, you play something hot, you drop it in, you introduce it, you drop it in, and then you repeat it and you change it. You just add like slight variation, and it makes a big difference. So I showed you guys what to do. Now I want to show you guys what not to do real quick. So this is what I would consider not good. Okay. Now, some of you guys might be saying, hey, that sounded pretty cool to me. I mean, yeah, the sounds are cool, but there's no structure to that. There was no flow. There was no call and response. There was no fill. You know what I mean? There was no organization to it. There was no feeling of like, you know, cohesiveness and togetherness. It was just kind of just all over the place. So, and why is that? Well, first of all, there's not really a call and response. This thing plays. Then you immediately get this second sound here. This, you know, there's no boom and then answer to the boom, you know, or like, you know, there's no talk between these two sounds. They just kind of happen. One happens, then the next one happens, then like the next one happens, and you know what I mean. There's just, and I hear this a lot with like people that when they first start off, they're getting into sound design, they're making really cool sounds, but they don't understand the call and response portion of that, and there's, you know, it's a big part of it, and your music's gonna suffer, and then you're not gonna know why. You're gonna be like, what am I doing wrong? And one way to, you know, to analyze that is you can use other people's songs and just kind of use the drop and listen to it and maybe add little markers. You can import it into your Ableton file and add little markers to kind of say, okay, there's the call, there's the response, you know, and you can copy that. I'm not saying like copy exactly what they do, but, you know, because you want to be a little bit original at least, but you can at least use that as an example of like, okay, his call was this long. Then what happened? Then there was a response. Okay. Then, there's a little fill at the end of the response, you know, things like that. But this is not good. You know, it's all over the place. It's chaotic. The sounds are cool. Yeah. But, you know, I already showed you guys how to make cool sounds. So you should be making cool sounds by now. This is this part of the lesson is about organization and how to organize those cool sounds. So that's just an example of what not to do. Okay. So you're probably wondering, all right, that was cool, but how do I do it? Can you show me actually how to do that? And yeah, I can. So that's what we're going to do next. So I'm going to give you guys this project file, and I'll have this section kind of cropped out with the drums, and then I'll take everything else out, and then you guys can add whatever you want or add your own stuff. But so this is what, and this could be, you know, if you guys want to turn this in as your homework assignment, that's totally fine by me. I don't need to know that you guys can do drums. I know you can do drums already by now. So this is the little drum beat we're going to work with. Very basic drum beat. And I'm going to show you guys. So we made our call bass last time with operator. Remember, guys? Just messing with operator, messing with the harmonics. And yeah, we're only using 2 of these synths, so it's pretty straightforward. But we got a cool sound. We got something pretty cool going on. So we're going to use that as our call. So right away, we got our first thing going on. We got our call. So boom, call done. So now we need a response to the call. And I'm going to use one of my homie Bunting sounds since he hooked us up with this project file. And I just duplicated it. And you notice he's using pretty much all the same stuff that I was showing you guys, right? OTT, saturator, filter, EQ, all the same stuff. So, and even the big time guys use the same stuff as everybody else. It's all, we all have the same tools. You don't need to go and buy a bunch of new stuff. You don't. It's all right here. So here's the call. And there's our response. And I kind of want to change, like maybe have one of these be like longer for the response. There we go. That was cool. And then so for the second time around when the call comes through, you're going to want to change the operator up a little bit, but nothing too crazy. All I did was I went into the pitch and I just grabbed this thing and I moved it slightly to change up the decay to get this sound. So now we have this kind of different for the second call. And then for the second response, we're just going to do the same thing. We'll use one of my buddies' sounds here. I'll duplicate it and bring it up here so you guys can see it better. And now we have our second response. Response 2. Let's call it that up here. See the same thing with that. And then let's also quantize these. All right. So now we got our first call, first response. So boom. And then you can just keep kind of going back and forth, keep introducing new sounds, keep, just having fun with it. But that's the basic big one is the style. That's what he calls it, the big one style of drop. And so one thing you can do too for the intro, I add this little impact. I just copied and pasted it from the other thing just to add, again, remember I showed you guys the impacts and stuff and a little riser, nothing crazy, but it does have a nice effect, So add another sound here for the next part. All right, hold on. Let me see something. This one here. It's like crazy beefy bass. Nice beefy bass. But again, it's just basic call and response. Nothing too crazy. No one's doing anything that's like crazy out of this world. You can make crazy sounds, and then this kind of gives you, even with crazy sounds, this kind of gives you the ability to like still have some like semblance of like order. You know, you have your call, you have your response. It's like now we're on to like the third call, you know. So for the third response, we can bring in why not bring in like a brand new sound or a combination of sounds. That's the other thing too, that we're going to talk about next is layering. So yeah, I'm going to show you guys some layering now. Layering of different synths. So there's different kinds of layering, but the first layering I want to talk about is the layering of different synths in a drop. So we have our third call, our third time around. It's call number 1 again, but it's now because we've introduced a second version of the call, so now it's the third time around. So now I got this synth happening. And as this one's kind of finishing, I have this next sound kind of coming in at the same time. And then we're going to use this one too. Let's go ahead and paste that there and see how that sounds like. Okay, a little weird. Let's try something like this. There we go. That's kind of the sound we were looking for. Something like that. Not that. How about cool. So yeah, we're getting that kind of funky little filter, that filter sweep thing that we were talking about before. We can even add like a little bit more res to it to get it a little weirder. But again, it's just call and response, you know. We can do our second fat response again. And we should use this little synth. I'm saying. The crazy delay on it. I love it. So let's just copy these. So again, I don't mind if you guys do this in your project file, copying the sounds and stuff. But I would like to see you guys like do a little bit of sound design on your own, like changing the sounds up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So maybe I should do that too. Since I'm just asking you guys to do that, maybe I should do that too. So we'll use a different kind of synth for ours. Didn't we make one last time? we just kind of need to have a little ending part, little ending fill. And then let me grab this end of this loop here and bring it over just to kind of give you guys an idea of how long your drop needs to be. So this is about what? 14? So no, we need 16. It's 15. Well, it's 16. Okay, yeah, so we just need kind of one more sound to fill this out. But you guys are kind of getting the idea, right? It's just a basic, I'm using the call bass that we made last week. And then I just made another variation of it. But I'm using that on every downbeat. And then I'm just kind of filling in the space with all these other synths that my homie made. I'm trying to find another one here. Yeah, we can use this one. Let's go down a little bit. Ooh, that's fat. So maybe something like that. And we can change the sound up a little bit. And there's different call and response techniques too. There's not just this one where you're using kind of the big one and then kind of a longer response. There's kind of other techniques that we're going to get into as well. But this is just the first one I wanted to show you guys. You know, let's just do this. I'm just going to make it one big long note. And then we can add maybe another layer kind of at the end of this. Let's go to Vital for this one. I mean, I'm pretty sure this is all Vital, but for go down there. There we go. So let's go Vital and then system overload. Throw this one on here at the end as another layer. Remember how I was talking about you can layer these things together? So maybe I think that might have been too low. Maybe not though. Let's check it out. Oh, it's still playing down here. There we go. So anyway, you get the point, and then you can just duplicate that for the next part of your drop, and just change up some of the sounds slightly. You don't even have to change all of them. Just change up some of them slightly, and then boom, there you go. You got your drop. You know, with all your different layers, but it's again basic call and response. Just calling, do a different bass. Call, do a different bass. Go back to the other call. Do a different bass, you know what I mean? And this is kind of I feel like this isn't the most simplistic version of this, but it's kind of up there. Not going too crazy with sound design, but also we're introducing, you know what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sounds in the drop, which is pretty cool. Granted, you know, 4 of those are just different versions of each other. You know, we have like 3 maybe unique sounds. But that kind of just shows that little variations go a long way. All right, so that's the big one style drop where you have the big one call. So the reason I call it big one is because the call is 1 and then the response is 2. If you want to count it like that, so it'll be like 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So there you go. And you hear there's a little bit of layering on the second part. So the first part was a little bit more basic. Second part, we threw some layers in there. But nothing that you guys haven't seen yet. I notice on everything except for our operator bass that we made, you're seeing that saturator, OTT, saturator, OTT, OTT, saturator, saturator, OTT, OTT, saturator. You know what I mean? So there's a reason for that kind of stuff. So use that. Use that stuff in your drop. Copy these. Just make this, maybe make this into a, you know, a audio effects rack and use it, you know, on all your stuff. It'll make your stuff fatter. But is this in this? Oh, it is. Okay. Well, let's do this. I'm going to try to keep all these together. A little bit of organization goes a long way with this stuff. There we go. Now we can see all the different sounds. So there's actually one more sound than I thought. So, but again, that's just one way to do it. We can do another style of drop as well that my boy likes to call the little bar switch. So I think that's what the one we're gonna go over is called. Either way, we're gonna go over a different one for this part. So let's do that. I'm gonna record something real quick. Okay. So I messed up a little bit there, but the idea is sort of there. So we're just doing this kind of slower pace. This one's a little slower pace than the first one. The first one's like bam, wop, wop, wop. This one's kind of like whoop, 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 whoop. So you're going to hear that right here. And then it's a little bit off because that, but there you go. So again, it's the same kind of style. Notice it's still kind of call and response, but now we're doing a slightly different, slightly kind of more along. The first part is a little longer. So you're getting that 1, 1. I hate when it does that. All right. So you're getting that 1, 2. And then you can go back again, maybe slightly change up the wub. But you get the point, right? So you get the 1, first part, which is the call. Then you get the response here. Again, call, response here. Call, response, and then call and response, right? And all I'm doing is slightly changing what the synth sound is. Very basic stuff. Nothing too crazy. All right. So now you got the big one. And then so yeah, maybe that's the big bar switch, little bar switch. I don't know. It's the bar switch. Maybe we call it that. Right in between both. But yeah, so that's that. Different drop style for you guys. All right, guys. So week 6, call and response. I got another example for you now. This is a remix that I'm doing for my buddy Killa K from the Bay. Shouts out to him. He just moved out from Tampa Bay. Now he's living in San Francisco Bay. So he's sticking to his name. But anyway, so I just wanted to show you guys another example, a call and response, and then some layering stuff. So
let's get it.
First, I want to just go over like some of the instrumentation. So this first sound here, this is his sound that I got. So, and you might notice too that there's another, remember how I was saying there's different types of layering? So this is another type of layering here where you have a top bass that has some low mids, and you know, it's mostly low mids, but full frequency. It's got low mids, highs, mids, super highs. It's got all of it pretty much, but it doesn't have a sub. Everything but the sub. Let's just say that everything but the sub, and then you layer a sub underneath. So here's just the sub. So that's just an example. And when you put it together, because this is cut off at the sub, there's no sub frequency in this, you get this nice like blend. So, and then this is actually a step further. You don't always need to do this, but this is my buddy's track again, Killa K. He went a step further and he even put a high sub bass layer. So remember how I was saying you need those upper harmonics? So this is his high sub bass layer that he layered again. So now this is a third layer that he's got going on. And it's just basically white noise, some distortion kind of. So again, you don't necessarily need to do this, but if you want to layer like a sub bass under your main bass, that's cool too. And then you guys might recognize this call bass that I have here from earlier. It's just operator, okay? I did a couple little EQ things. I boosted the high end of the EQ. This is something that you'll see done a lot, actually, because if you boost the whole signal, you'll get distortion because of the low end. But what you can do a lot of times is just boost the high end, and the signal will sound louder. So sometimes you can do that. And then our friend Saturator and our friend OTT on 70% with about 8 dB of output, and then the time at 100%. So that's the key. A lot of people, like, they put OTT on and they're like, why does it sound bad? It's probably the amount is too high, the time is too fast, or you have no gain compensation. So you got to think this is going to take a lot of dB from your thing, so you got to boost some dB back to compensate for what OTT does. So yeah, that's the trick to OTT. So that's a little quick tutorial on OTT. And then again, this is that call bass that we made earlier, and I'm just using it. Remember how I said it was hot? Well, I saved it as Fat Call, and I'm using it now in this remix for my buddy. And then this second one, this is the same call bass, but I'm actually now adding the fourth oscillator in. So if you notice, that's the only difference between these two. This one doesn't have, see, 0 and negative infinity on this one. And then this one, I just brought it up to 7, and it just adds a different kind of tone. So now I have two different sounds. So remember how I was saying, like, it's just a lot of times it's just, you can use the same sound, but just make a slight variation, and it goes a long way. And that's what you're seeing here.
Let's get it.
So, and then the one more thing I want to show you guys, this kind of sound. So this is now a third kind of layering that I want to show you guys. So we have this sound here. So that's pretty cool, but I wanted to layer kind of like a growly sound with it. So I made this other synth here, and now and it's kind of like a growl. Here, I'll show you guys this one here. So this is the growl. It's just kind of like an alien kind of voice sound. But if you layer them, it has kind of a cool sound. Because this sounds cool. This was like I was trying to make this sound. And sometimes you'll get to the point where you're like, oh my God, I'm like 90% there. I'm like 95% there. How do I get this other little like last 10% or last 5% of my sound? Like I was like, oh, I'm so close. And then I even like went and modulated the part where I wanted the growl to come in. And I got kind of a cool sound, but it wasn't quite what I was looking for. So then I was like, okay, you know what? I'll just make another sound that I can layer in there. And now... and then in the mix. But anyway, so yeah, and then again, you see the call and response again. So the first call is his bass, and I'm just going to count it. So this will be 1. So 1, 2, 1, 2.
Let's get it.
1, 2. 1, 2. Just in case you're having kind of trouble identifying where the call and responses are. I was mostly using his basses as the call. So I used his 2 stems that he sent me as the call, and then I added my own call kind of in here. But hopefully you can hear that 1, 2. This is that longer one that I was telling you about. Remember how it's not like 1, 2. It's that 1, 2 kind of vibe. But I also throw in a lot of different sounds, so it's not like it can get boring. That particular call and response can get boring, but if you add like a lot of different sounds, then you keep it fresh. You keep it staying fresh by constantly adding new sounds. So I just want to show you guys one more example of call and response, and not only that, just like the arrangement stuff that I was showing you guys in the past. So this is another session that my buddy did, and he sent me, and for whatever reason, I can't get the drums to work, so we're just not going to worry about that, and I don't really need it to show you what I'm saying, so here we go. So this is the intro section. Notice how they're starting with that pad. Totally different genre, but after 16 bars, he brings in a new element. Again. You're going to hear the call and response here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. I just want to show you guys how you can use it in different genres. It's not just a dubstep thing. This is like a future bass song, so very different. I'm not sure. He's like, he told me when he sent me this, he's like, I'm not very organized, but I did not know that he meant that there's just going to be giant chunks missing from his song and the drums weren't going to be here. All right, where's the drop? I just showed it to my buddy here. So here we go. Okay, well, anyway. You get the point, though. It's not just a dubstep thing. It's a, pretty universal thing. Once you start doing this, you'll actually hear this in a lot of pretty much all music. They do this call and response. It's very, very applicable to multiple genres. So, yep, that's that. All right, guys, so we are back in Rekordbox. So I can show you guys those same drop examples, but just different people doing them. So first of all, we got my homie Thread with his new song Outsiders. Let's check it out. You wanna So if you guys noticed, that was that same exact formula that I showed you guys first, the big one. So if you notice, this is the one right here. This is going to be the one. I'll mark it with this marker. So here's the one. And he did a great job. Here's some layering, synth layering. So he's got the one, and then he has a cool little layer that comes in. And then that's the response here. This part here is the response. I'll make that red. So here's the call. Here's the response. Call. Response. So, again, basic stuff. Remember I showed you guys I'm showing you guys the fundamentals. And then you guys can fill in the space with all the cool sounds and stuff. That's you guys' job to come up with the cool sounds. I showed you guys how to make the sounds, so now make your own sounds and fill it in. That's going to be the assignment. So, but you see it right here. This is the big one. Here's the one. Here's the response. And notice he did some really cool stuff. This is where the fun part is. He layered in this cool synth, and then something that I've noticed is really common after like having a 2 and then having like a lot of space after the 2 and then a reverse reverb or something and then right into the response. So this is a really good technique to do maybe in your own track. Notice how right after this 2, listen to this 2. It's like there's nothing, and then it has like this cool little reverb swell. So that's a really cool technique. So, and what I mean by 2 now, I'm talking about in the bar. So this would be 1, 2, 3 if you're counting it like that, or 3 if you're counting it like 1, 2, 3. The backbeat is what I meant. So notice that the backbeat hits and there's all this space and then it kind of builds into the response. That's a really effective and common technique to do. And he's showing, our homie Thread is showing right away like how effective it can be with this really cool little drop sequence. Bringing in some vocal samples. And then you notice about halfway through this, similar sound, but variation. So that's what I'm talking about, using the same kind of rhythmic and same kind of flow, but then just changing the sound. Super effective. And again, this big one drop technique is what I'm going to call it. Really good. Where you use the one and then have a response. So call, response, call, response. Super effective. Okay. So I'll show you guys another example. So this one's a little crazier example from MIDI Chlorian. He's a riffer. So he's going to do all kinds of riffs and stuff and try to confuse you. But at the end of the day, he's doing the same thing everybody else is doing. Let's check it out. Okay, so you're probably like, what? You didn't show us how to do that. That's insane. No, I showed you exactly how to do this. Here's the one right here. Here's the one. And then here's your response right after it. So, and then, so here's the call. And then here's the response. And then here's another call right here. Or sorry, not right there. Right Right here. Is that where it is? Yep. Here's the other call. And then right after that call is the next response. And this response even has a vocal response to the response. Because the response is so nasty, there is a vocal sample that's like, whoa, that was a really nasty response. You guys hear that? And then bam, right back in to that call bass. That sounds like the same sound, right, guys? There's variations of it. So I just want to show you guys this so you're like not like blown away, like, oh man, this is like so like hard to do. Like, how do you make these crazy sounds and how do you make these crazy songs like midi chlorian and stuff? And it's like, use the fundamentals I'm showing you and then just have fun and just experiment with sounds and sound design and stuff. But if you stick to the fundamentals, you can't go wrong. So Zergling, Smoke in the Club. Let's see what kind of fundamentals he's working with.
Smoke this club.
So again, remember this was the second technique I showed you guys with the longer bar, long bar switch, or what long bar shift, whatever. So where you get the long first call, that's a higher frequency, and the second call is a lower frequency.
Smoke this club.
1, 2, 1, 2. So this is that longer one. It's not the 1, 2. It's the 1, 2. So it's a little bit slower pace, but again, super effective. And for what Zergling was going for with this track, which is kind of a slow kind of banger, it worked perfectly. So if you're having trouble seeing it, I'll highlight it real quick. So here's the 1. Okay. And then there's 2. 2. So see how it's much longer, the distance between the 1 and the 2. So this is just a couple different examples, but these are, it's effective. I just want to show you guys how effective these techniques are. And then you match that with some like crazy sound design and you can make like bangers. Like all these tracks I'm pretty sure are signed to like labels. So, you can get signed to a label using these fundamental techniques. All right, guys, so that's week 6. We talked about creating a drop, call and response, a couple different genres of drop techniques, and I showed you guys like how to use the sounds that we've already made together to make a drop. And stick to the fundamentals. Don't get too crazy. Have fun with the sound design, and your assignment this week is to create your own drop. You can use the drums that we did today or make your own, or do whatever you want to do. But the thing I really want to see is I want to see call and response, and I want to see your sound design at work. So have fun with it, and I'm looking forward to listening to you guys' projects. See you next week.